The more traditional way of ending a line is a whipping like this. And I will show you how to make this. It's very easy as well. To make this, I will use a thicker rope, and I will actually use red string for this because it's more visible for you, and of course it could be looking nice. This is a bit too thick, I would say, normally for whipping, unless you have really thick rope. This is I think 3 millimeters, yeah. More like a 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter would make more sense, but for visibility reasons we will use this thick red one, make it easier for you to follow. So how do you go about it? Well, you make a loop. So you always, I should say that, you always start from the rope going towards the end when you do whipping. And you start by doing a loop with this. So you have the loop going towards the end. And then you start to take the line around. I'll start with, well, I need more actually. That's a bit short. Do a couple of loose ones first so you get started, and then you need to tighten this, because the whole thing with the whipping is, of course, it should be really, really tight. So tighten this up. So you see I have the loop there, and I tighten it up like that. And then I continue. And now it's important that you make it tight and also next to each other, because you want this to be really tight and closed. So you shouldn't see the white rope between anywhere. You make it tight. Of course, if you want to make a long one, you need lots of string. I didn't take that much string, so I'm running out here. Tighten it up. And to close this now, you take the end of the string and put it through the loop. And you close the loop here. And you tighten, and you tighten, and you tighten. Like that. So now we're almost done. This is whipping. The problem now, we're almost done, but you see, well, maybe you don't, but here, it's the loop that goes across underneath here, and it locks the end here. And it's very close. So if I cut here now, there will be very few millimeters. And if it moves around, it could actually slip through, and that will then it will fall apart. So what I need to do now is to pull in this end. So I pull this loop into the middle. The aim is into the middle, because then you will have a half loop coming from here and another one coming from here, and they meet in the middle. And they will both be locked down by the rest of the whipping. So that will be a very, very strong whipping. This is a very wide line, thick line compared to, so we'll see if I manage to pull it in. Well, it's partly inside. Let's see a bit more. Yep, that did it. It's in the middle. Didn't make it tight enough, so it actually opened up a bit, which is not ideal, but this will do it. So I now know that they meet in the middle here. So both lines, double lines, locked by three or four turns on each side. This is a very strong whipping. So if I now cut this off, both ends, like that, we're done. Wow, you probably want to cut the rope as well. So let's cut the rope. And depending on your preference, you can cut it a bit out here, maybe 10, in this case 10 millimeters or so, or you can cut it quite close. Don't cut it too close though. You need some rope left, because otherwise it will fall in. The whipping will fall in. You need to have the resistance. So I will make it like this. Something like that. And you can leave it like that. Could look like quite nice. Or you can, of course, melt it. If you want to melt it, you probably want to make it a bit shorter than this. You should also melt, you see these sticks out. They don't look very nice like that, so I'll just melt them. Oh, that's too much actually. melt them in. Now I damaged the whipping a bit. That was not my plan. So either you can leave it like this, or you can make it even shorter. Let's do it like this instead. Tidy this up a bit. Something like that. And then you can melt this one. Not fantastic. Something like that. You can of course work on how good it looks. Thinner line for the whipping makes it look better. How long you make this, if you melt it or not, you can play around with that. But this, what we have here, is a very strong whipping. It will last for a long time, and it's dual protection as well. If you melt this a bit more than I did here, the melting will hold it together and the whipping will hold it together. If you have a failure on the end, it will be a failure on one side. If it's the melting, the whipping will hold the rope together. If it's the whipping that fails, the melting will hold it together for a while, not very long, but for a while, and you have time to replace the whipping if you are observant of your ropes. So this is a whipping. Maybe I should redo this in white as well, so you'll see how it probably should look in most cases with a thinner line. So I'll do that as well. So we'll take white line. This is a 1.4 millimeter line. So it's the same procedure. Let's do it. This will be harder for you to see. I'll take this away. I think this background makes it more visible. You start with a loop. And it's a bit fiddly as well with thinner line. And you make a couple of loose turns first to get started, and then you tighten those loops up before you can get moving. So we tighten them up like that. Come on, and tighten that and that and that. Starting to get there. And when I do this, I will explain one more thing. As I said, you go always from the rope towards the end when you do whipping. You always go against the rope as well. So if the rope goes this direction, I do the whipping in the other direction. It's probably not a disaster if you do it the opposite way around, but that's what it's recommended, and it doesn't disform the rope as much as going the other direction. And again, doing it really tight, pulling hard several times. If you go really thick ropes, are actually special tools that you can use to help doing this really tense. Good tension on the line is important, but you can do quite big ropes by hand like this. Okay, I'm running out of thread here, so I will end it there. Same thing. Close the loop, tighten there, tighten there, tighten there. Now it's harder to see, but again we have the loop here and I can't cut. I need to pull this loop into the middle. So we'll see how that will go. This line is not so comfortable to pull in. A bit more. There we go. So almost pulled it too far, actually. A bit hard to see. I think it's probably over here, but it's pulled in and it's still, I can't see the end from here, so it should be okay. So that's a thinner whipping. So let's cut these off. Be a bit more careful, but I don't like that. That's better. And we can now cut this. I'll cut it there. Something like that. So there, take this away again. Well, we have a whipping, a quite short one, but that should be fine. The length of the whipping is really mainly to be able to keep the locking in the middle. So if I made it a bit longer, it would have been easier to find the middle for the meeting of the two loops. But that's fine, and that will last for a long time. And again, if you do the melting as well, it will be even stronger. So let's try and make this a nice melted end. Then you need to make it shorter probably to make it look real nice. Scissors might not be the normal tool for boat work, but I think why not use modern tools if you have a sharp scissors. Makes it a bit easier than cutting it nice with a knife. I'll do it like that and then melt it without burning it too much. I want it to look nice now. Something like that. That's not a bad end. It's quite good, nice end to your line. A good melt and a good whipping. This will last longer than the rest of the line. So this will protect your rope and make it look professional, and you will avoid having ropes that looks terrible on your deck and that actually gets destroyed. So as you saw, very simple to do. Try it out a couple of times. It's a bit fiddly the first couple of times to get the loop started, but easy enough to do when you get the hang of it. So just to repeat myself, you start with a loop. The whole idea is you're going to use this end of the loop to put this end in and close the whole whipping. That's why I do it. So you need to have enough line on this side to complete the whipping. So this is a bit too short. You do a couple of loose turns first so you can tighten it up. All right, you need it tight from the beginning. So this is tight and straight, of course. And to repeat myself, you go from the rope towards the end and you go against the rope. So if the rope goes this way, I do the whipping this way. A bit tighter than what I did now. This is just to show you once more. You put it through, you lock, you tighten both ends, and then the whole thing is you need to pull this into the middle. It was hard with the left hand actually. Let's try it if I can do it here. There we go. So now it's in the middle and it's locked, and I can cut the ends. And we have another whipping. So very easy to make, very strong. The only disadvantage with this kind of whipping is that it could separate a bit. So you will see the line through. If everything is white, it doesn't really matter. Unless it starts moving a long way, of course, because then it's loosening itself up. There is another whipping, I will show that as well separately. It's a zone whipping where you actually put the line across as well to keep the whipping together. But to my experience, for amateur use, this lasts very long. If you use your ropes on a daily basis, maybe you should consider the zone one, but for normal use, I think this will last very long.